Well, hello, my soul friends. Welcome to the Soul Nurturer channel, where this is a shared space to gather and pause out of your busy life and connect with the sacred view, which is to connect to your soul, to connect to your potential, and find ways to nurture that potential into your highest possibilities. And today I'm doing something a little bit different. If you've been one of my viewers, and thank you for subscribing if you have. And if this is your first time popping by, I thank you and trust that you're here for a reason. And if you feel called, subscribe. And we definitely love comments. So do that as well if you feel called. But today I'm doing something new, and it's been on my heart for a while. And that is to invite in this case, sister soul practitioner. I'm calling it the Soul Conversations with Soul Workers. And by soul workers, I mean those who have it on their heart, light workers, those who feel the call of contributing to something greater for the collective by training in different modalities and bringing their gifts to expand our consciousness, to expand our possibilities. And today, I have a very special guest. I have to flip over to my notes. Well, you know what? I can't. I'm in the full screen. So I'm just going to go to what I printed out. A special guest that she's not only my soul sister, but she is somebody I really admire. And that's the intention of inviting in practitioners, people who inspire others, who inspire me, and I think that's what we need. Sometimes when we fall back, we need to look at somebody who's, down the path a little bit, bring in their light and so we can be inspired to bring ours. So she's my first guest, and the reason I'm invited my friend Julia Anderson, I'm going to tell you a bit about her and then I'm going to have her share a little bit more, is that she is somebody who has often invited me to step out of my comfort zone. And she's my first guest because she was my first YouTube interview. So, well, let me tell you a little bit about Julia's bio. And I would be here all day if I covered everything because, my goodness, Julia, you have quite the background of training and different eclectic modalities to serve others. I love her title is Food Strategy and Holistic Lifestyle Coach. And she's just really passionate about inspiring others. And she's been in the health industry for over half of her life. And I love that she's been organizing since she's 10. And I know this is something I need to invite her into my house, but I'm still kind of like, oh no, but I want to talk more about the decluttering. She's been trained and certified in many modalities, including medical Qigong. And I want to find out when I get her on here, what is SSQC, Advanced Food Healing, as well as strength training instructor, level 2, 5 elements Qigong. She also has been trained in Thai yoga massage, Reiki. She's a personal trainer and a licensed massage therapist. And of all the various modalities that she's been trained in, she says that she's most excited about teaching people how to clear chaos. So that's going to be really good to learn more about. She's a professional organizing specialist. And there's so much more about Julia. And I honestly wanted just to say that I'm going to share the screen so we can just have Julia. You can see her. I don't know if she's on there. She is. My friend Julia, I welcome you so much to saying yes to coming on with me.
Thank you.
Since you were the one that got me out of the comfort zone. We were just talking before we went on camera that even though we've both done this a lot, the nerves come like, a little bit of nerve.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we just
yes.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah. I'm actually doing a lot of work around meditation and breath work. And so it's interesting how if we're really tapping inward and thinking about what's going on in our lives, as you call it, the self care and the soul care. It's like, okay, I've noticed a little disconnection with things versus being really present, just to make sure, I gotta make sure I'm, got my notes going, because we're all about our notes. And I love it because it's where the work becomes, and then you start to kind of peel back those layers.
Absolutely. And, you have, I don't know if I say this enough to you, you have been a teacher of that to me, that you continue to show up no matter what. You continue just to,
Thank you.
you have such tenacity, perseverance, and enthusiasm. Those are the three things I think I most admire about you. It's like, what's Julia up to now? What's she, and the other intention of these conversations with practitioners is to talk about where we just went through, we're still in huge transformational times, but we just went through this very unique experience called the pandemic. And how did we as practitioners navigate that? I think it's interesting because I still think, this is what I'm sure you find too, that no matter how much we say, trust me, you're not alone in that experience, people still feel very alone in their experience. So I want to talk about that in just a moment, but I had a few more things to say about you from my heart to yours.
Okay.
Just that, one of the other thing I admire so much about you is that you are a super collaborator. You honor the work of other practitioners and you love to collaborate, and you invited me to be part of your Ascension of Vitality series that I hope we can talk a little bit more about. And you're just a no excuses, get shit done kind of gal. And I really love that about you.
I love it. Thank you.
So I'm like,
Cool.
I'm always learning from you. And I wanted you on here to remind me of those beautiful gifts, because what we admire in others is what we're still wanting to cultivate. It is our bright shadow that we see in others. And in Julia, I see so much beauty. So is there anything you want to add about your bio before I ask you some questions?
Well, are true in regard to, there are a lot of things that I bring to the table. I had one person say, oh, she's kind of a Swiss knife, and I liked that. I was like, I'll claim that, I'm continuing. I am a sponge. And if I find that I'm really inspired by something, I will bring it to the table, to my clients, to my friends, to my surrounding, community, because it's too good to just keep within.
I love that. And I think you're like me in this regard, and maybe many other practitioners, especially those. Do you identify with the wounded healer archetype? Or
Oh, yes.
Okay, yes. And I have found that a lot of my viewers do as well. And this is a big part of my mission and my soul medicine. But I find, and I see in you, and this is where I try to live from, if I'm drawn to it for my healing, I want to share it. Because if it's helping me, I want to help others, and that's why we have such a huge eclectic bag of goodies, because we just keep working on ourselves, right?
We're like a Mary Poppins of goodies.
That's so true. Totally. So let me ask then, along that thread of the wounded healer, which is the theory of where we're most wounded, we birth our gifts to share. Do you identify with an original wound that called you into this healing path?
Yes, absolutely. I think truly coming down to my self-worth, at a young age, I remember having, I couldn't really articulate what I wanted to say. And so I used a lot of words to fill spaces that really weren't moving me forward in any kind of description or communication of what I was really trying to say. And so a lot of times I think I tend to play small, and even where the angst might come up with having an interview and articulating the right things that I want to bring forth and what I offer. How do I really put that in words?
Yes. Yeah. And so what, identifying that in yourself, what was the first modality you were drawn to for maybe your own healing, but that led to what you offer to others?
I will say, when I started doing personal training, and really finding a way that I could control something, where I felt like I couldn't really control my thoughts around my words. I didn't have to speak about that. I could just do it. So helping people really find joy in how they are taking care of their body, even if it was the outside from the inside. It took me a little bit to go from the inside to the out. And then I believe that's really what brought me into food healing, is because I really wasn't healing my body in the best way that I absolutely could. So finding ways that I could look at plant-based foods and at that medicinal level to help people get out of pain and inflammation
Mm,
and, you know, walk in that path.
beautiful. I love that you're so vulnerable to share.
Mm.
Yes, it started with the self-worth and issue. And again, uh, we all have that struggle. And I would say even the greatest, brightest lights that take the center stage and we all admire, they have to have some, checking in and some pep talks for themselves. We all, and the human experience, I think, is where the worthiness issue comes, and our soul potential. That's what wants to, come alive through us, and we need to
Mm.
just get out of the way. And you do that. You keep showing up, and that is, I honestly want to honor you that my practice here on YouTube, and it is a practice. I don't, I'm stumbling every time I do a video. We were talking about lighting and all that earlier. And it's because, that's how we learn, how we grow. And my philosophies just show up as I am, I don't edit. I just show up because, hey, I think we had enough years of the perfection images, the images we saw in media and now social media, and
Yes.
like, just be real. Let's just show up and be ourselves. And you are a good model of that as well.
Well, you know what, Victoria, I got that from you.
What?
Truly.
How?
Yes. I
Okay.
love it. Yes. I mean, I think maybe, and maybe not, but I feel like it was, drawn from you in regards to this, like, perfect is not what we're looking for.
Right.
And I like to use the word polished. Did I
Yes.
get that
Oh, I
from
love
you?
that.
I
Well,
feel
we
like I
could
did.
talk about, yeah, I think possibly, I know, isn't it funny? And I try so hard to honor where I get things from because I think it's important. But if you're on a healing journey, you're constantly gathering goodies for yourself to polish.
Yep.
But I often say we're perfectly imperfect, and to embrace our
Yes.
imperfections. And we all have a part that wants to be perfect. We're
Mm.
conditioned to think we have to be perfect to show up with our gifts. And that is an illusion. One thing I like to say is that perfection is an illusion that prevents us from bringing our potential.
Yeah.
Because we think,
For
oh, I have
sure.
to look and be and have this much training and be that. Otherwise, I better
Oh
just
yeah.
sit on the sidelines. And there's too much that needs to be done for anyone to be sitting on the sidelines with a soul call, right?
True. And
Yeah,
you aren't really in the practice and actually learning to grow in it if you weren't actually in it. So
right.
yeah.
Exactly. So I want to follow that trail a little bit more because so you became a personal trainer.
Mhm.
And then your next modality training was massage, or where did you
Correct.
go? Massage?
Yes,
Okay. And you're still a massage therapist.
I am. Yeah, over 20 years.
Wow.
I remember early on when I was just doing personal training, I never thought I would do massage. I was like, oh, that's a lot of work. I just like going to the gym and telling people like 10 more. But
Yeah.
I started doing this transition. People that were overdoing it in the gym, I was sending them to body workers and vice versa. And so I, again, just trying to be a student to learn more for the way that I can show up for my clients, and took a kinesiology class. And
Mhm.
before you knew it, I was enrolled in the whole massage program.
Yeah. And thank goodness, I'm sure a lot of your clients who will watch this will say, yay, so happy you did.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating. I mean, I would say you're kind of like also a Renaissance woman. It's like
Okay.
you're because every healer and practitioner gathers their basket of goodies, or call it the transformational tools. And then it's like we put this puzzle together, or it's maybe
Yeah.
our yellow brick road that we're following, that we put
Love it.
brick by brick and follow it forward. And then it's like, oh,
Yes,
I got something to share with you. But I
for
mean,
sure.
really, massage, qigong, and your medicinal food, all the things you do. So I'm gonna ask you a question. If you had
Okay.
to pick just one,
Oh,
only
yeah, that's
one to go forward with, what would it be?
absolutely hands down organization.
Organization. So tell me more
So
about
easy.
that. How did you were 10 years old when you were just starting to do that naturally?
It's funny because my sister and I were sharing a room before, early on. And I think it came to a place where, we just, we were bickering with each other on where to put things and how to have flow in the room. And I, I just figured out a way that we could both be in the room Eventually we had our separate spaces, but in the same room. My dad actually made this division. But even then we figured out, like, how do I get to this place without being in your space? And
Uh-huh.
so I feel like that started, how do I find flow for people to be in a space together, even if it's not just an environmental space, but a workspace. I just finished a commercial job where multiple people are coming in and using this kitchen. And so finding a system that works for multiple people coming in so that they can find that ease and flow and really create that balance, which can look different days. It doesn't have to be right here.
Yeah.
And whenever I tend to not want to be doing something, maybe I need to be doing like notes for a YouTube interview or something, I'll be out organizing something or cleaning up my space around. It'll be my go-to.
Uh-huh.
And I find that that really is the foundation for everything that people want in their life. If it becomes
Yeah.
where they want to be healthier in their well-being, if they're
Yeah.
wanting to find better balance and practices to do that self-care and find time for family, it all really is from a strong foundation of systems.
I love that. And I always listen with an astrologer ear. So you
Yeah.
said your key Libra word,
Yeah.
balance, right?
Yes.
And there where you were as a 10-year-old, like, okay, I got to find balance. And I also love that you used the word that your dad created a divider, because I think that everyone's unique gifts are needed on the planet for the collective unfolding.
Oh,
And
yeah.
we are in huge divisional times. And I'm hearing you and I'm thinking, wow, so what if it's as simple as if we all just get our shit together? I mean, not just, because my focus is on the inner work and soul work,
Yes.
but the external, the extension of our inner world, the world we live in, and we balance that and we get order in that and we declutter. And then maybe it contributes to less division with others. I
I
don't know.
agree.
Wow.
Yes,
Have you like
for
landed on
sure.
that? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I believe that that's key in it all. Yeah. When you've found that flow and ease,
Hmm.
um, everything just feels, and you can be more in the present and be in that space of gratitude for the simplest things. As I'm living in this trailer and living very minimal,
Yes.
being patiently, waiting to build. So that's been a whole process in itself with self-care too.
Yes. Wow.
Patience.
Yeah. And so I wanted to ask you with this transition, like, well, from the pandemic, because did you guys move up on that mountain during the pandemic, or was it? Yeah, it was
We
during.
did. Actually, we bought the property just in January
Mhm.
2019. So
Wow.
the last ascension that I had was just at the beginning,
Mhm.
just finished as things were starting to come out.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So people who are watching know you have this vision and this is another thing I love about you. You take action. Like a lot of people think they have to have all the pieces put together before you step into your vision. Julia is a teacher and a good role model of stepping into your vision as it's unfolding, right? You and your husband bought 19 acres on top of a mountain with
Yeah.
the intention to have like more retreats and workshops up there. Kind of, is that part of it or not so
Yeah, I mean, it's there. Well, how that evolves, I do see some of that, maybe
much?
not as it was before. But more importantly, this is the place that we really feel will be our forever home,
Mm,
and really just letting that organically evolve as it is.
yes.
Um, so yes, there is some of that here for
Mhm.
sure. I feel like this land is a sacred little space. It's like our
Mm,
little oasis up here where we really can retreat.
yes.
And funny side note,
Yeah.
one of the addresses up here, because we have 4 parcels, is 666.
Oh.
And the funny thing is, like our neighbors that are up here, they're like, oh, you're the only one that can handle that. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, the cool thing is it's down where the water is, and we just cleanse out all our souls and we get, refreshed and revived.
That is
But
awesome. I love it. I love it. You said another word that really just really resonates with me, and also the shift. We've been in this world of transformation long enough to have seen many fads, like this is the new thing. And I always crack up when a younger client will say, oh, I've learned this new thing, and they'll describe something. I'm like, well, not to age myself, but back in the day, we used to call that, there's
Right.
nothing new. It's just getting like packaged differently.
Yes.
But the word organic,
Yeah.
like what we're coming out of, and I think, I don't like to say everything happens for a reason. I like to say things happen, we find our reason. And we're going to talk about the pandemic
like
in
that.
just a moment. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like not like we're we're being punished or things are happening, but how can we utilize what is, right? So, and where was I going with that? So
I was talking about some of the property
oh yeah,
elements
okay.
and
Organic.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we have seen the trend, the fad of push, work harder, figure it out, and a lot of people that I've worked with, and myself included, it's like we got lost in that kind of paradigm. And the positive psychology movement, and we're coming, especially people who are more seasoned like us, we're coming to the sort of balance. Yes, there is a time to push, but there's also a time to honor where you are and be patient, like you're sitting on your mountain just waiting for this to unfold, and trust a process that's unfolding. And that is the true healing, when we recognize that there is something greater that's evolving us, and that pushing and go manufacturing rather than allowing it to be organic. So I love that you introduced that word. It's one of my favorites. So let me ask you, during these transformational times, like the pandemic happened, and at that time, a lot of us practitioners were like, now what? We can't see people face to face. So how did you navigate those times? And what, as I said, and instead of it like, oh, why is this happening to me? How did it happen for you in a way that you utilized it in ways that were unexpected even?
Yeah. I do essential work. I am working with people that were in the hospital, we're dealing with diabetes, we're those first responders, but I still took my time. I really wanted to honor where we were all at, of taking that moment to say, wow, this is a time that we all need to really have a different perspective and how we walk in the world with illness and disease, whether it's a pandemic, or not. Even nowadays, you've got a little cold, and you think big picture on that. So I was working a majority of the time during the pandemic, and it was interesting for me to just have that inner power to go where some people didn't understand it at times, but to know that the people that I were working on needed it so much to really be in the community doing what they needed to be doing, to keep their emotions and mental states and physical ability out there. So it was really empowering. There was a lot of different sides to it. And yeah, there was times too I questioned, like, what is my purpose here in regard to doing the body work? How do I want to dig and educate some people in regards to where I was feeling maybe some pushback on, really? You're working?
Yeah.
Like where the medical desire and need is in regards to the work that I do. I'm not just doing relaxation stuff, but people needed that.
Yeah.
So that was a big element of learning to care for myself, speak, for where I'm at in this, and also help educate and give the people that were coming through my door so much value in where that is. Like not having to say, I'm going to a doctor's appointment. You're going to see your manual therapist.
Yeah, I love that you normalized, and I love that you called yourself an essential worker. I mean, if supermarket employees, essential workers,
yes,
why wouldn't a massage practitioner or a healer be an essential worker as well? Yeah, I love that. Brava. I mean, really,
Thank
that
you.
to me, I see that as, makes me want to cry. Like that's a brave take on a very difficult time that we all had to navigate and figure out how we
Yeah.
were going to support others and be with others. Fortunately, I could go onto Zoom and see clients.
Yes.
And that was my switch, which I've been visioning for a long time. So I was kind of like, sorry, people, I hope I didn't contribute to the pandemic because it's been on
Right.
the vision board forever. And now suddenly I have to
Yes.
be on a virtual platform, or I had to be.
Yeah.
Now it's a choice and I
Sure.
love it. Okay.
Yes.
What,
Choice.
I mean, maybe we've already said it, but just to follow up, like, what did you learn during that time about yourself? I heard you just say, I don't know if you caught it, but you said, I learned to speak up for where I was. So there was
Yep.
that original wound and you were
Yes.
having to find your voice and your choice.
Yeah.
Your
And
choice.
yes,
Hmm.
I still feel like there's times, even today,
Mhm.
yesterday, every single day, I'm like, okay, so are you going to speak about what you really need? Or are you going to do maybe what you feel is right, or there's some obligation around it?
Mhm.
Really taking the time to kind of back up and go, okay, how do I really feel about this? Am I being pulled in any direction to what other people, need or want?
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely finding the words in a really heartfelt way.
Mhm.
Also feeling like I don't have to explain everything to everyone. I have a tendency to do that. If
Yeah.
I'm not explaining, then they might not understand, and then they might just be hurt by it or pulled, in a different direction. And it's like,
Yeah.
I am for all.
Yes. Yes. And
So
my little tip about that, to say, in the past, I used to, because
yes.
every moment we have the choice to choose how we want to be and what direction we want to move. And so I think you've done so much work that you can claim in the past. And now you do know when to speak up, because I've seen you and you do.
Thank
And we
you.
have to acknowledge how far we've come in those places.
Yes.
I mean, I
Absolutely.
still think of myself as an invisible person that isn't seen, and I have a friggin' YouTube channel. So, right, so see the contradiction of the wound and the gift. So,
Yes.
okay. So
Good.
let me ask you, you're such a powerful motivator. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you going?
Well, it's taken me a minute to figure that out, because I have finally, and I can say it with some conviction, um, I am a superpower to accountability.
Oh, okay.
So when I know I want to be motivated to doing something, I have to find accountability in some way.
Uh-huh.
If it's showing up in my own group, even if I know no one might not even be there at the live, I
Yeah.
know that there's the replay. Um, and really, truly, it's interesting how so many other people can really motivate you and you don't even know it.
Mhm.
Um, or they don't even know it, that they're motivating you, or
Mhm.
getting the motivation from you. And so yeah, finding that accountability keeps that momentum happening. I'm in
Yeah.
a group right now, and I am just posting in the group. No one else is there, but it's like I said I was going to do this so that I would get that done.
Yes, beautiful. And I love that about you too. My husband, Ben, as you know, Ben, has that same principle. Like, just
Yeah.
do it, show up, even if no one shows up, which, it is to remember that we are just practicing. And when people are called to be with us in that space, they'll be there. So yeah, okay. I love that. And how about in what ways have you changed over the last, maybe 2 years that you want to honor?
Oh, well, we talked a little bit about that. Is,
Yeah.
I do tend to be someone that likes to have it all planned out.
Mm.
And I have pulled back from that, and I've leaned more into how it would feel versus figuring out all the details.
Mhm.
And that has helped that inner vision come alive. And things have been coming my way that have been like, I couldn't even dream them up. The
That's
kind of clients that are coming my way are the opportunities, and
yes.
it
Yes.
feels effortless. And that's what I'm really
Mhm.
looking for, is less work and more of that just fun and effortless movement to my life.
So you're speaking to the key principle of visioning, which is the feeling of it,
Yeah.
feeling it, not just thinking it and pushing towards it, feeling it and building a resonance with it. So it allows you to attract the things that you're desiring, and how does it feel to be in this new space, Julia? Not having to
Yeah.
figure out how to make it all work, just allowing.
Yeah.
Feels good?
Yes. It feels so good. I
Yeah.
mean, there's times where I just kind of bliss out in the gratitude of the
Mhm.
simplicity that we have
Mhm.
right now, and
Mm.
how full it feels with the small amount that, and
Wow.
it's not really small, really. You know, if I really think about it, it's not small. The
Mhm.
things that I can think about in my life that fill me up, and the people, not just things,
Mhm.
um, it be grander with less.
I love that. What would you, I'm sorry, I'm getting some spontaneous questions, but what would you say
Good.
to the previous Julia, like when you were
Oh
maybe in your
yeah.
20s, that felt like she had to control things in order to feel like something was going to get done? What would you say to her? Or anyone who has a similar,
Right.
MO?
I wasn't doing enough trusting.
Ah,
I feel like I'm grasping now the reality that everything that comes my way, even if it's struggle or it's frustrating, a lot of times that's my doing, or my um assumptions, that a lot of times, if I can release and let go of that, take a moment, to go, okay, this is real, but does it need to be
mhm,
this way? Like the choice aspect, do I want it to continue?
mhm.
And learning to surrender that the path that's being paved is really in my best interest.
Yes,
And like we were just talking, better than I could probably ever imagine if I kind of just let myself, not kind of, just get out of the fucking way.
that's
If
right.
I could
That
say
is the
that.
key right there. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Get out of
because
the
it is
way.
easier.
Exactly. Get out of the way. And that's where the blessings can come. Because when we're controlling, we're blocking.
Yeah.
We're blocking the blessings. Yeah. So good work, my friend. Okay. So since this is the Soul Nurturer channel, and we might have touched on a little bit, but we're going to go a little bit deeper because I think we need to get better at learning to nurture our soul. And I do make a distinction between self-care and soul care. Do you? Do you
Yeah.
think they're the same or different?
Um, I would put them together, but
You
I
would.
would love to hear how you separate them.
Well, because even though I know a lot of our goal in healing and evolving is to move into non-duality. I
Yeah.
argue we need to honor the duality in order to get
Yeah.
into the non-duality. And
Oh
the
yeah.
duality is the human experience and the soul experience. So we have to honor our human experience, our maintenance, our food. And I want to have you talk about your passion with that too. Our food, our taking care of our bodies, our exercise, our shelter,
Mm,
all that. And then the soul, where we need to honor and feed to expand the potential of our soul, like time in nature or meditation or prayer time or, some sacred space that
yeah.
expands the soul to animate through the human experience. And then we can evolve
Mm,
more. But I do make the distinction self-care is feeding the human experience, soul care
mm,
is expanding your soul potential.
that's great.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
So, but in general, what is your like self-care or soul care practice like? How do you take care of yourself?
Ah, well, it is so healing up here on our property. I mean,
Yeah.
today was the first time I've changed even my view, and I'm just
Mm,
looking out at everything. And so it does really fill me up so much. I don't even have to get outside to feel, even though I want to,
yeah.
but I don't have to get out there to feel like I'm still really being nurtured on a deep, deep level.
Mhm,
Um, I'm finding more and more that breath work is my go-to.
mhm.
I guess I would consider that more of my soul care when
Yeah.
I'm feeling outside of my body, when I'm feeling like I'm, anxious or distracted, thinking of the future, or even stuff that's in the past.
Mhm,
That helps ground me in my body. And I would say, as far as self care goes, it's really looking at those boundaries that create the time for the soul care.
mm,
When we made the transition from in town to up here, I closed the spa that I had. And I did a year in town because we didn't have anything up here. No power, no water to even transition to, as far as doing manual work. And so that was interesting to have that um, transition time, and then to come up here and just figure out the days that I wanted to do manual hands-on,
Mhm.
the time that I would want to do my lifestyle coaching, and knowing that at some point we would grow and have farm animals, and I want to do some education. So certain days for that, and keeping to those boundaries.
Mm.
So that's allowed for me to really grow my relationship with my husband and friends and family,
Mm.
not feeling like I have to say no to things because I haven't really built my business in a way where I can let go of that without thinking, man, I can't take many days away from this because I'll lose an opportunity like I did with the brick and mortar. It was always on, on, on.
Yeah, yeah. And when you say brick and mortar, you mean the spa?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Um,
Employees and, overhead
yeah.
and all of that.
I love that. Hearing you say that time of transition, what I'm hearing was your deeper transformation. Like what was going on in the external, it was going on within you, the letting go,
Oh, yeah.
moving to, I call, Reverend Michael Beckwith, one of my teachers, he says something about, are you living in God's, or where are you living? Are you in God's neighborhood? Where are you living? And so I do that with my clients too, and
I like
myself,
that.
like, am I moving out of an old neighborhood where I was limited, restricted,
Yeah.
full of fear, into a new neighborhood where I'm expanded in soul potential, and to check, where am I living? And there you are, you literally physically moved, but in that transition time, I think you were doing your deeper transformation,
Yeah, I've never been in a space where I felt so, I don't know if I want to say lost, but just that's the time that I like let things break. I
yeah,
let things be unknown.
yes.
And it was scary, and yet it was the best thing ever.
Thank you for bringing that. And I really want people to know that, listening or watching, that transformation does require going into the great mystery where we don't know. There is uncertainty. And this is where, like, people who like to control may fall back, but that's when you need to let go and trust something greater is holding you. And it can feel like you're lost. I'm in a transformational cycle still. And sometimes I think I have dreams of being lost. And I know that that's my human psyche going, oh, well, you're not doing the things you used to do. You're not on the path you used to be. Yeah, because I'm transforming, I'm letting go of things, and it may feel like being lost. So beautiful. I love all you're
Yeah.
bringing. I know, Julia, it's going to help somebody out there too. So
Okay.
comment if anything Julia says or what we're talking about, really connects with you. We want to know about it. So I think I touched on that. And okay, well, I want my last question, and then I'm going to ask you if you have any offerings coming up. I know I want you to talk about the full moon and breath work stuff that you do. And did you do it last night, or when are you doing it?
Well, if we're gonna tap on that, I'm letting that evolve right now. I took a
How's
little pullback
okay?
because I'm feeling like I have some other ways that I want to bring it still um to the world. And I'm, so again, I'm letting it organically. I'm playing with it. I did not do it last month, even though I said, oh, I might show up differently. I was like, oh, I'm not feeling it right now.
I love
And I let,
listening. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you.
yeah. So, oh, thank you. Sometimes,
Really.
like we said, it's like, oh, I'm not doing it. What's going on? But I
Mm.
am giving myself more permission slips to, hey, you know what? If it isn't the right divine timing, it didn't feel work,
Yeah.
it just felt like it needed to shift a little bit.
Yes.
So yeah.
I love that. So I want to hug you. I think that is
Thank you.
truly, because that is, again, a transformational piece. If you're not feeling called to something and you keep doing it, you're blocking the blessing or the new opportunity that wants to come, or how it wants to evolve. You can't hold on and let go at the same time. So you got to choose one or the other, and to honor your commitment, because you did keep that commitment of the breath empowerment around the full
Oh
moon
man.
for what, 2 years or?
God, I think it was even longer than that.
Yeah.
I think I'm not very good with time anymore, but
I
it
know, none
feels
of
like
us
I've
are.
been doing it for, yeah, because even if I wasn't doing it around the moon, I was still doing it. And I
Yeah.
think I transitioned it to the moon, and
Mm.
you and I had that collaboration.
Yeah.
And now I'm feeling like I want to tag it somehow into, or, the foundation of organizing, still around breath work. Like maybe the stuff that comes up with you moving
Ooh.
forward to getting things together. I'm not really sure.
Gosh, I love
Again,
it. And I do want to, mirror back to you your clarity.
Okay.
But if you had to pick one thing, it would be the
Yeah.
decluttering. So talk about that a little bit more. Like, do
Okay.
you go into people's homes? Do you teach online? You have a group, I think, on Facebook, right?
Yeah, a little of all of that. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, in the pandemic, I started the group just thinking, oh, people are in their homes more, they're looking at things, they're seeing corners, they're
Yeah, we
in
saw it
their
all, didn't we?
messes.
Yeah.
Yes. Parents coming home and doing homeschooling.
Mhm.
So, it was just, it started with just a few people and then other people were sharing it. I think I have like, it's 333 right now, total of people in there.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Good for you.
Yeah. And so how many people are actively in there on a day-to-day basis? I really love that people have come there organically because people have shared it and they go, oh my God, do you want this? Or they've heard, and that feels really, really good because I
Yeah.
want people there that are inspired by it.
Yes.
So I do have that, and I am in there actively weekly, 2 or 3 times a week.
Mhm.
I encourage people to just use it for, again, the accountability like I do.
Mhm.
Um, I do the breath work once a month. I did take pause on that. That's virtually, but the people that I have worked with, I have done Zoom. I worked with a couple people where they wanted to actually get an office space set up in their home. They
Mhm.
wanted it so that they could start doing some of their acupuncture um, um, boards. They wanted to study for their boards. And then they
Okay,
also wanted to kind of use it for their kids when they weren't using it so that they had, a separate space. Yeah,
cool.
I've come
I
into
need to
people's
learn more.
homes.
What's the name of the group?
It's
Um,
called The Alchemy of Organization.
okay, and it's an open group. People can find you there and go there.
Yes, yes.
Awesome.
If they go to Peak Consciousness, my business page,
Okay.
then there's a link to the group there. Every now and then, even on my personal Facebook page, it's in there, but I'm in Instagram as well.
Okay, and I'll put those things in the
Okay.
description under the video. I'm kicked out of Facebook right now. It's a long story, but
That's good,
I'm
right?
not there anymore. And I'm actually like, it's a blessing. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to be there anymore. I love YouTube and
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will put your website and ways to contact you if anyone's interested in the groups and the things you offer. And I'm sure you're cooking up more things in the future. I
Yeah.
love that you're
Cooking
just
classes.
trusting and allowing it to
Yeah.
unfold through you. Excuse me, say it one thing
Yeah.
or a little bit about your medicinal stuff, like because you do like what's the tomato thing that you do?
Paste. Yes.
Okay. And what is
Yes. Red pepper paste.
red pepper paste?
And you said early on, what's SSQ? It's
Oh yes, thank
Supreme
you.
Science Qigong Foundation.
Ah,
It was a company that I used to travel with around the United States.
mm,
And we would come in. This is where I learned the paste from.
mm,
Early on when I got certified as a Qigong instructor through Supreme Science, as well as advanced food healing, and the Supreme Science strengthening, all through there. It's
mm,
full circle. We're teaching people breath work, which is what really drew me into doing that. I mean, early on, I had some other stuff with some trauma as a child with
mm,
water, and it constricted a lot of my breath. So I think that's what's really pulled me to the breath work and
yeah.
creating this groundedness.
Mm,
Also, my connection with food and not really healing my body in the best way. I wanted to learn the highest plant-based
mm,
natural foods. So paste ended up being the thing I was
wow.
making while we were on the road.
Mm,
And so I learned how to make this high density, this double bonded paste. It's a lot like tomato paste, but red peppers have, a whole different component when it comes to their cellular ability and how they can keep oxidation down in the body as we're getting older, especially with the eyes,
mm,
and like dementia. So it's 3 ingredients. I say 4 because I'm adding a few other things like spiced paprika and roasted garlic, some of these other high phytonutrient foods in with it,
mm,
but it's delicious. And so I'm
mm.
teaching people how to do that. I
Awesome.
have workshops with that every now and then. It's like people will buy it from me because they don't want to take the time to really invest in the medicine, but that's really what I'm teaching people is when you're going to heal your body, it is this beautiful meditative aspect of it. And I've found as I've made it for years now, a real ease and flow with it.
I love it. You're just so
Thanks.
passionate about everything you do. And I'm sorry I put you on the spot to say one thing, because I know you'll never do one thing.
No.
No,
It all features through that, right?
yeah. But I want to learn more about your decluttering thing. I want to, when I get back on Facebook, because you put a test up there that you learned from the clutter
Yeah.
book. Yeah. And
Yes.
can you
So my
briefly
mentor.
say those, there's 4 types or 5 types?
Yes. Well, I feel like there's 5 archetypes. I'm kind of
Okay.
shifting because I'm working with more people and realizing we all kind of have a little bit of a hybrid.
Yeah.
But yeah, 4 types as my mentor kind of brings in. And that's what helps people realize whether they've been trying to do something in a way that's really not their style. And then they just keep butting their heads against it and they just give up because they're like, this is not for me.
Yeah. So when they go to your group, they can take the test and figure out, is there a way you can briefly say the styles right now? Just really brief.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And for those of you that want to know right now, you can just Google Clutterbug quiz. And Cass is my mentor, and it's a ladybug, which are people that like to kind of stuff behind the doors and in drawers. Butterflies, they tend to be people that like to see all of their things. And so they like hooks and they like open shelving. And then there's people that are bees. They also like to see all of their things, but they like them in containers. And then there's crickets, and they tend to like some things out, but most things tucked away. They like systems inside systems. So, you know, they're kind of top dog as far as like really uber out on systems, which, you know, if you're a butterfly or a ladybug, you're just like, whoa, you go do your spreadsheets over here and I'm gonna just write all my stuff on a piece of paper.
I love it. I love the honoring of unique ways of being, and I think that is healing in itself. We don't have to fit into somebody else's box. We should be ourselves and honor who we are. And I think around cleaning and clutter, there can be a lot of shame. And we're not all the top rung one. We have our different styles. I love that. So I encourage people to go check that out. And I want to honor your time. So I'm going to wrap up with one last question. And that is, since we're doing this to contribute to the collective unfolding, what is your wish for those listening in their own transformational space for the collective unfolding? What's your greatest wish for?
You know, we spoke a little bit earlier on this because, you know, I feel like there's a lot of people that pull back on what they want to do because they think, oh, someone else is already doing that. Yeah. And then they don't really bring their unique way to the world. So it's like, I just want to give out permission slips everywhere. Permission slips to do you and feel like it's going to be your own unique way that is going to, what's this quote? I wrote it down because it's tagged into my Facebook right now and I love it. It feels like it really resonates with me because I don't tend to want to be this person that's plays really super big, but if I can help one person, hold on here. If I can help one person, it might not change the world, but it could change the world for one person.
Yes.
Boom.
I love that. That's my philosophy as well. And that for me, that's connected to the story of the little girl on the ocean, throwing the starfish back into the water. Do you know that story?
Yes, but remind me.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. So she's just committed. This little girl found her purpose, and the water has, the starfish have come to shore and they're dying out. So she's picking one up at a time and throwing it in the ocean. And this grumpy guy comes up and he's like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm trying to get the starfish in the ocean. He said, you'll never accomplish that. And it's not going to help. And she looks at him and she looks at the next starfish and picks it up and throws it in the water. And she says, it helped that one.
Oh, right.
That's just, it gives me chills every time.
Yes.
So
yes, I remember that, but I couldn't remember all of it. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And that philosophy, if we all said yes. What's the one thing I can do to help, even if it's one person? And then I add on to that, even if that one person is you, because the better you makes a better world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true.
Well, my dear friend, thank you so
Oh,
much for
Thank
being
you.
my inaugural person here on this. However, it's going to fold, same thing. I'm doing it organically. I don't have a schedule. I haven't even asked the next person, but thank you so much. And
Yes, such an honor.
just continue being the awesome you. You really help contribute so much into the world, and I love you.
So do you. Yeah. I mean, truly, you have brought me through some big monumental times in my life through your work. So thank you. I feel really honored to reach out to me. You had me crying before we even got on here that you're so intuitively tapped in. So
Oh, thank
keep
you,
doing
sweetheart.
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thank you, love. And
Yeah.
until next time, again,